Kristi and Tanqueray on the Rocks, the Trailblazers Toolkit.
On this podcast, we dive into the messy realities of corporate life that nobody talks about over office coffee.
Grab your cocktails and join us as we get real about work, life, and everything in between. Cheers. Welcome to another episode of Kristi and Tanqueray on the Rocks. We are live and are really excited to bring to you today's content on entrepreneurship, specifically navigating an entrepreneurial journey and what that looks like for you, what it could look like for you, even if it's side hustles, if it's, starting a new org, or like Kristi and I kind of striking out on our own, leaving corporate, moving into this entrepreneur space. So a couple of things that kind of stuck out for me, Kristi, as we were preparing for this episode, oddly enough, most big businesses like the Facebooks, Amazons of the world started like really small. We're talking garage, you know, after work, side hustle, like all of those are legitimate ways in starting a business. Another stat that kind of came up, and I think this speaks to you and I in a couple of different facets, is that a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs start out in their 40s and 50s and even 60s. And I think about some of the bigger cosmetic brands in
Mhm.
most recent years, a lot of those women are, senior executives who have pivoted away and have started their own brands.
Mhm.
So I wanted to just, throw those facts out there to get us thinking about this conversation. And then also wanted to ask you one couple of things. I'm going to take a step back. Today is Kristi's birthday, so I want to take a to celebrate that.
Yay.
So happy birthday, Kristi. I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you in a short amount of time. I feel like we've known each other for years, but it's only been maybe we're on our 6-month anniversary. It hasn't even been a year.
It hasn't even been a
You
year. I guess we
no,
met in February, right? At
yep,
Content Creation on Location last
exactly.
year. Yep.
Exactly. So you have been near and dear to my heart. You've kept me going as an entrepreneur. I can honestly say I consider you one of my friends. I
Oh,
know that you
I'm
are in
crying.
my corner if I needed anything. I'm going to give you your flowers now. And
We're on
I,
camera.
it's okay. It's all good. Like this is it. But happy birthday.
Thank
Wishing you many, many more joyful birthdays. Enjoy in all the areas of your life, not only your business,
you.
but personal, all the things. You deserve it. You really do,
Thank
my friend. So after I made you cry, let me get us back on track.
Yes, get us
So
back on track while I dry my tears. Uh-huh.
yeah, so a big point. Entrepreneurship is you're not taking your birthday off, right? Because we used to
I
do
mean,
that.
yeah. You
You're like,
know,
I'm off for the whole week. I'm off for the whole month. No, so we are still dedicated to our clients. We're
yep,
still seeking new clients. Kristi's
yep,
seeking clients in the speaking place, the coaching place. So am I. She leads a academy to help you move from corporate to entrepreneurship legacy lab. She also has all things unicorn leadership under her belt. And then I'm also leading companies with value creation, helping them with implementation and tying it back to real dollars. Strategic implementations, digital implementations. Just recently wrapped a project with a renewable energy company on the West Coast and helped them with a migration of a technology. It
awesome.
was super cool.
And
We are
congrats.
now,
Wait a
yeah,
second.
yeah,
Congrats on finishing that because that was
yeah.
a large endeavor. And was that not one of your first and largest since starting and going out on your own?
Yes, it was. And it's exciting to, to finish and say that, oh, we're 50% more productive because of this solution that
Yes.
actually just monitors their wind performance across the portfolio across the globe.
Mhm.
And it's also a little sweet, because now it's on to the next thing. You build those relationships, but a big part of what you and I do is partner, right? We want to go in, we want to make sure that the employees, the team members are equipped to continue the work and the seeds that you've planted way after you're gone, right? So I feel like they're ready, they're prepared to take their portfolio to the next level. So we're all ending like on a good note. That's the plus
Yay!
side of it.
Well,
Yeah.
congrats. That's amazing. Awesome. And that was a big win for you right out the gates. My wins have been slower in coming. I'll be completely transparent, but they have really picked up over the last 2 months. And so
Mhm.
that's a part of the entrepreneurship journey that we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
All of the ups and downs and how we go about our business. And honestly, I took note of, when you're friends with somebody, Tank and I, and working on building a business at the same time, and we're doing similar things, but very separate, but both running at full speed, that's similar, starting our own thing, that's similar, wanting to do it in a way that's different than what we experienced in corporate, right? That's similar. Obviously, we do different things, but point being, you had this win up front that has taken up a considerable amount of your time. Now,
Mhm.
mine, on the other hand, I did not have a huge win up front, and so I feel that I had a lot of time to work on foundation and infrastructure and how to set up an ecosystem in my business that has multiple verticals and omni-channel presence right now, which has shocked the shit, frankly, out of most people. And I do believe that it's because I did not have big wins that took up a ton of my time in the beginning. And really, I was watching others, excitable for them, happy for them, and thinking, is it going to be my turn soon? And so now I feel like these seeds that I planted over the last 11 months are really starting to bloom, and the
Mhm.
relationships that I've planted over the last 25 years of just being a damn good human are really
Yeah.
starting to come to fruition and harvest. And it's exciting because when you've been able to create an ecosystem inside of 11 months, because 2 days ago was this 11-month anniversary, I just think that's impressive. And
It is.
it's exciting to think that we both are on this journey together. There's no one right
And
way
we're
to do
doing it
it.
differently.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
There's
there's
no
not one way to do it. And I will
exactly.
like, so I'm gonna compliment you as well on a few things. No, you didn't have the big win, but you've planted those seeds, you're developing that pipeline. You've got these different product offerings. You've had time to just sit and think about what that's gonna look like, and you've made those investments. I started out the gate with this client. It took up all of my time. And when I say all, I mean all. Like,
Girl,
it
all.
was getting out of bed, getting on calls, organizing because the project was off the tracks in the project
Mhm.
management terminology, and I had to bring it back on track. I had to bring a lot of structure to it. I had to play multiple roles, not only, project leadership, but change leadership. How do I get these sponsors engaged? It was a lot. And so I haven't made the investments in my business that you have made. So now in this first quarter of next year, I'll be kind of falling back, if you will. And I wouldn't say back, it's just different, right? I'll be
Yeah,
doing a
different
bit
strategy.
of
Yep,
different strategy, the business development, and also thinking about the different products more intentionally. Yeah, I've got some things out there, some things I can certainly offer and work, right? Because 50%
yeah.
productivity increase for a renewable energy company is nothing to sleep on.
Girl, that
Um,
is ginormous. I mean, if you
yeah,
actually put numbers around that, what are the numbers to that? They have to be massive.
yeah. So and that's something that I'll be working on in the next coming days is putting
Mm,
together a white paper and kind of,
awesome.
circulating that amongst some perspectives and as well as LinkedIn to just talk about those wins. And it just again goes back to that point. Like there's no one way of doing this.
Yeah,
Um, my approach is very different, but now I'm having to go back and think about all the things that you've been thinking about, and now you'll be moving forward and focusing on those different clients as well. And so with that in mind, what advice would you give me? And then I would give you some advice as well on the back half of that.
Oh gosh. Okay. So, you know, I think when you're building a foundation and really kind of starting to think from a ecosystem and an omni-channel experience, the strategic thought is just like you said it earlier, a lot of thinking time. My creativity and thinking time, which is probably why my burnout is about 75%, better than it was in the past. My strategic ability, creativity, and thinking time is off the charts. I've really tried to build quite a bit of that into, my calendar each day. And even to the point now to where I'm at the place, Tank, and this is something that I was speaking to my media coach yesterday, and I'll talk about investments in myself for next year. Um, I was speaking to my media coach yesterday, and we had our first appointment yesterday. Um, this whole thing for me now has gotten to the place where every single conversation is, in fact, a sales conversation because I have so many products and there are so many solutions that I've been able to build over the last 11 months that there's not anything I don't have a solution for, frankly. Like, and if I don't, I know somebody who does. And because of my network, if I call the CEO, they answer. So I'm grateful. So my advice would be this. My advice is high on the thinking time. If you need to take the withdrawal from the retirement plan, and PS, this is coming from a financial advisor. So don't one single financial advisor send something into
Don't
the
come
show.
after us.
I
Don't come
don't want
after
to hear
us.
from you. I don't.
No.
If you need to take a withdrawal from your retirement plan to do it, I am here to tell you I'll do it. And don't let one damn person shame you into it. I'll be the first to tell you I took a big fat withdrawal from my retirement plan over the last 11 months. And that is what has allowed me to not have to chase a deal, which I'm not suggesting that's what anyone else did. I'm saying I did not want to have to chase a deal because I would have had to. I wanted to be able to lay a foundation that I could iterate and evolve along the way. That is what worked for me. And so my advice is be scared and do it anyway. Be yourself and bet on yourself. And don't be ashamed if what you have to do to make your business work is different than what all the experts tell you you should do.
Mm, that's great. That's great advice. I appreciate that so much. There are these, so one thing that comes to mind, and I've been researching this, and I may have shared this with you before. So there's
Mhm.
excellent vehicles to kind of turn your retirement funds into an investment for your business. So you're not losing your money, you're actually buying shares into your company. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm married to one. And so he's equipping me with that because you're right. Like I'm in this space now where I need to plant some seeds and build
Mhm.
onto the products that I've currently got, and I need that thinking time and I need that runway. So that's what we'll be tapping into to
Yeah.
make that happen for, this business and my family.
Good for
So that's
you.
great.
Good for you.
I really, really do appreciate that advice. Like, do it scared, take the thinking time, lay the foundation. And then on the flip side, if you come out of the gate and you get this big product, and this opportunity to offer services to an organization, I think you should do it and
Yes.
also be prepared for what's happening next. So you got to store away those little nuts for winter, right? So if
Mhm.
make sure that you have, money set aside to carry you after the engagement is over, because you will need to reinvest in building new services based off of your learning. So, like all the things that I've gotten from that engagement will become products, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and there
Yes.
is a plethora of them, from the change coaching, the sponsorship engagement. Like, how are you getting sponsors ready for a true change?
Mhm.
How do you stand up a PMO
Mhm.
in an organization that,
Wait, I know an organization. I used to just worked at one that would love, probably need your help with the PMO. I would not suggest going to work there. Don't. But not a unicorn culture. Don't do it. But
yeah,
they would need your help. Standing up a
yeah,
PMO
yeah.
is important.
It is important. And how do you tie, the product organization, the project management organization, and the change organization so that those orgs are actually driving your organization forward? How do you storytell around that? There's just so many layers and learnings. And by the way, like you have a great mission and message. Like, why aren't you saying more about that?
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
driving towards zero, zero net carbon, right? You're driving towards that, and you're not communicating that more to customers, to
Yeah.
potential investors. Um, and so there's so much products that I can build from that one engagement, and I do intend on spending time to do that. But just be mindful of that. Coming out of the gate with something big is going to take a lot of your time. And so, how do you? I probably could have balanced my time a little differently.
Mm.
Probably could have outsourced some things, right?
Mhm.
To then spend more time to think and create more products.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be like a all or nothing. You can try to create a bit of balance between satisfying your clients' needs and then also, you know, pushing some of your time back into your business so that you have something next or products to relaunch or new ones to launch once that engagement is over.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to say that on the backside or like to quarterback that after the fact, but I think you as a new business owner are probably so invested in just doing an amazing, exceptional, knock it out of the park job because when you're a new business owner like we are, our name and word of mouth referral is really all we
It's
have in the beginning.
everything. Yeah.
So it's not like really you have the luxury of multitasking in the very beginning of starting something. You have to give 150 million% because literally it's a small world. You get one shot. Really,
Yeah.
on a project. And then if it doesn't go well. And so I actually view this in a contrarian way. I think what you did to really solely focus and to not, divert your attention, although you may have wanted to. I'm sure that was a natural thought process. I think what you did to really focus and make sure that the outcome was exceptional was probably the best thing you could have done for the longevity of your business.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Because, you know, it is hard to think about, "Oh my god, now I have to take that step back and I'm not gonna be generating all of this revenue and income." But that's the reality of where I am right now. And
Mhm.
so be thinking about how you fund your business, be thinking about what that looks like, not just in the first 6 months of the year, but, 2 years from now, because there will be the ebb and flow, the up and down.
Yeah.
And that's natural. Like, we're coming off the heels of an election cycle, we're going into
Mhm.
a new year. A lot of corporations and, potential clients, they stop spending until the new year. There's all those complexities that
Mhm.
you have to think about as an entrepreneur, but I do appreciate um the grace, right?
Mm.
That you are offering in your words and the encouragement, Christy, because it's not easy. And
Mm-mm.
you immediately are like, oh my, this scarcity mindset, the fearfulness, starts, all the little gremlins start talking. Um, and you start questioning, so, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? And I absolutely am doing the right thing.
You are. You are doing the right thing. And you just have to, if that's your mantra, and I have enough for today. That's the other
Yep.
thing. I have enough
Oh,
for today. I don't need to
yep.
worry about all the rest of the things. I grew up in a household that, while, I think we've talked about this in the past, we were probably lower middle class, maybe, or whatever is a little below that. Um, but the scarcity mindset prevailed and saving for a rainy day. And those are important concepts, of course. Um, but also, what's an important concept is just betting on your damn self. And if people
Mhm.
take a look at what's going on in the world today, the 8,000 from Cargill laid off yesterday, right? Was it 8,000 people were laid off? CEO assassinated of United Healthcare
Oh
yesterday.
my gosh. That
This is a
was
crazy place. And I say all that to say, you get one shot at this life, one chance. And so if when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, you don't feel tired and satisfied from a day that was just everything you wanted it to be, whether it was good or bad, it was what it needed to be or you wanted it to be, then what are we doing? What
right.
are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Saving
I
it for
agree.
what? You know that song, Turn Down for What? That's how I feel about saving. Saving it for what? What if I'm dead tomorrow? What if I got shot walking out? I mean, there are plenty of people who don't like how honest I am about what my experience was at their job. I think about that all the time. I told my husband one time, if I end up dead, just head on over to so and so, and I'm sure, I'm serious.
Yeah. 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 It does make you think about reframing what life's goals look like, what wealth means, what health means. I think about all of that. So I'm where I want to be. I'm with my family. And I thought about this last night, honestly. We're in this house, we're multi-generational family in a home that needs tons of repairs, and we're working out all of those things. I could do a whole podcast on that. And I thought to myself, everything I love and everything I ever wanted is in this house. Like, and not the things, but the people.
Mhm.
And that's what matters. And so um, that's what matters, period. There's nothing else to say. That's all that matters for me. That's where I am. And so if I am going to take a little bit of time to build a business that then helps me fuel those things to help me stay even more connected with the people in that tiny house, and that's what matters. That's
That
what
is
matters.
what matters. And so, New Year's around the corner. New Year, I'm thinking about, ways in which, and maybe you are too, to invest in your own personal development or in the development of your business. I think about, what did I spend money on this year to invest in my own growth and development? Spent money on a new website, um, spent money on coaching for myself, business development, coaching, how to even run a business, right? Spent money on that. And then for next year, I have signed up for like I think I mentioned, the Brene Brown Dare to Lead program. So I'll be certified in that. But then my newest thing, as I just mentioned, was media coaching and training and pitching to media outlets, being on local TV, being on national TV. I've got some things kind of brewing and in the hopper, and really kind of gearing myself up for the reason why I laid the foundation, which was, I want to have a deep variety of offerings. And so that's kind of where my focus is for this next year. So I ask you, where have you decided to invest in yourself personally and from a business perspective for 2025?
That's a great question. I'm gonna pull away from some of the memberships that I had last year and consider some more local memberships. I've got um, some organizations that I'm interested in joining here in Charleston. I want to tap more into the manufacturing industry that's here to really lean into what opportunities might be there.
Hmm.
I'm also going to spend some, resources to get certified as a minority-owned business, which helps open doors as a supplier for those manufacturing companies.
Hmm.
Um, and then I've got to think about business coaching in a different way. So I did the startup coaching, which some of the things that were suggested I skipped because I had to. So now I have
Hmm.
to kind of revisit those
Sure.
things and
Yeah.
then figure out how to bridge it with like the year two activities.
Hmm.
And invest in, the business coaching as well.
Hmm.
Um, and then I need to really like just sit with what's next for me. When I think about my journey overall, pivoted from pure engineering to project management to vertical construction, horizontal construction to business transformation, to now coaching and, um, coaching organizations on how to lead, standing up PMOs and what does transformation look like for you? What does a culture of innovation look like for you? I've done a lot of the evolving over the years, so I honestly was thinking about putting it all in words,
Hmm. Yay! Oh, do you mean a book?
book, but I also want to layer in personal stories, right?
Hmm.
So I started out as a single mom
Hmm.
in the beginnings of my career. Um, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about parenting and, doing it single versus doing it married. I want to talk about my adoption journey with my little one and
Hmm.
kind of layer that all in into like this holistic thing. I don't know if it's a memoir or what, but I really do want to lean on the different facets of my life and
Yeah.
put it in words. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's beautiful. And it's again the evolution of, because when you started out, just leaving corporate 13 months ago, did you think that you would be considering that at this point?
No, no, I didn't. I thought, "Look, oh, let me just pull some offerings together and get to work. I know I don't really wanna jump back into corporate right away. I may go back eventually, maybe as an advisor." I was even thinking about, like, board seats or, things like that, but I, never thought that I would be thinking about a book. Now, I have thought about just solely writing about corporate when I was in corporate,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I still might write that book. There's some
Mhm.
juicy stories there.
Juicy.
But I never thought about, like, trying to layer the 2 to just help people find more balance and find themselves, right? And that you can live out loud, still be a leader
Yes.
as you are,
Yes.
and not have to mask all these things, right? You can be a single mother and still be a leader. You can, go through the adoption process and still be a leader, right? There's some interesting stories about that. Yeah. So there's a lot that I could put down and would help someone.
Of course. I mean, I think that's the beautiful thing. I mean, what's funny about this is my whole life, all people have ever done is say, "When are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book?" And I was like, "I'm not. I never endeavored to do that." And it's cool. There's a book out there, and Unicorn Leader has done great. It's a great product. It's a playbook. It's not my book. Um, and to be honest, I'm a damn unicorn in Charlotte. I'm not just another leader. I am the leader who makes things happen. And so I'm kind of this person that people don't know they need me until they meet me. And then once they do, everything clicks. And so my name is becoming synonymous with innovation and leadership and results. And we want her to host our party. And can she MC? And okay, we want her to do these things. And I have to be comfortable with leaning into that next year. I'm being completely honest. Most people expect Tanqueray that is a place that I feel very confident in, but it's not a place that I feel
Mhm.
confident in. And that comes from a childhood of hearing, no one likes a braggart. Don't you think you're being a little grandiose? Uh, Tone it down. And
Tone
then,
it down. Yeah.
those things really didn't change throughout time. So I'm really having to lean into this idea that I'm now in an environment, in a world where thankfully, because of being community made and people who are helpful, I'm having to really fight the narrative in my head a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what that kind of it ties to, the entrepreneurial journey in the sense of you can take the best and the worst things and turn it into something that someone else needs, right? Um, and you can take those things that you might not be 100% comfortable with sharing and
Mhm.
turn it into something that someone else needs. When I think about, having to choose between simple things to make life work for my oldest and I, when, her and I were just off in Virginia by ourselves. We were in the wilderness, like, and
Oh.
not physically, but metaphorically. Like, we were just out there and didn't know day to day. But
Mhm.
we made it, and I can take those things and offer those things to business leaders, to others who are growing in their career. And so I want to remind our listeners of that. Like, you can take the worst and the best of things and turn it into something someone else wants to buy, because you're able to bring your passion to it. And that's what I see come across as you're explaining, leaning into the emceeing and leaning into those opportunities for yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think, Lighthouse Leadership Consultants, while I was really in pain when I started, it has evolved really into this other thing. It's not just about corporate. It's transform your leadership, build your legacy. And if you want to do that in corporate, and if corporate wants to be a part of that journey, Unicorn Leader is here for you.
Absolutely. Yep.
If that's not the case, okay, cool. Then let me help you individually. And that's what the whole ecosystem of Unicorn Leader is about. But to your point more directly, the answer to my discomfort with being so visible is Unicorn Speaker Project Your Power, which is the answer to, for me, of this is a product that I sell. It's why I'm supposed to be out there. And now I'm teaching other corporate executives how to go and have a signature thought leadership speech, to go and speak on behalf of their organization at events, etc. Yes, it builds their personal brand along the same, time, but the point is projecting your power, public speaking framework, right, to help them craft and deliver a big fat juicy message that actually lands and resonates. That wasn't something that was ever invested in me. I was never, I don't think, really looked at in that way, or that people didn't think I needed that development. And I did very much need that development. Just because I was an extrovert and just because I was loud doesn't mean I didn't need the development of how to be a great speaker or how to command attention in a room without just being extra. There's a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And
I've seen in my business, oh, sorry, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as I look at the ecosystem that I've built, so much of it is in response to what wasn't available to me, but so much of that is in response to being a parentified child and one who was not able to express emotions openly. And so everything that I have built in my business is a way for people to do that.
so you've taken those pieces that were sharp or hard or uncomfortable, and you've turned it in something that people could leverage to, get there faster, right?
Yeah.
And embrace the essence of who they are, and put a different, I guess that's it. Embrace the essence of who you are and do it in a way that is gonna make you money, right? Gonna be
Yeah.
helpful to you, gonna grow you professionally, gonna develop you in different ways. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love that.
It's healing.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see that. And for me, always been a very structured person.
Mhm.
You can throw and I think that is I know it is the having to turn something, like nothing into something at
Mhm.
a very early age, parenting at a very early age and having to make it all work.
Mhm.
I can take a bomb like site and turn it into something better, but that comes from just having that structured mindset and being able to pull together innovative solutions on a dime. And with minimal resources, like, okay, we don't have that resource, well, let's do it this way. We don't have a huge team, well, who can we dedicate to this for the next 3 weeks to get some results and make sure that our sponsors are engaged? What messages can we, put this out on? What channels do we have? Like it the solutions come pretty quickly, and I think it's just been the upbringing and the, early parenting that
I
I've
think that like that is such a valuable part of you. I mean, I've benefited from that. I just remember the first time we were trying to record in a studio, and I'm like, "What hell doesn't this work? And that doesn't work." And Tanqueray, just quit. I'm just gonna quit. We'll just come back another day. You're like, "Okay, calm your ass down. I will handle this. This is what I do. Sit there." Uh, but I think about your. It's not just that you're solution focused because I'm solution focused. It's not just that. You're not only solution focused, but you're creatively solution focused, and I can see the little cogs spinning in your brain like above. I have a tornado in my brain. You have nice little gears that turn and do lovely things and come up with these great like results and solutions. And so I think when you were just talking, I was just thinking, oh, I would have loved to have her in wealth management or in finance or in any meeting that I was in the C suite, because that's not, if I was the weird one and I'm solution focused, imagine if we had another person who is even more driven by, hey, let's just figure it out. This is a different way around. Here's what we can do. That's the way your brain is wired. It would have just been such a beautiful thing. And so when I think of diversity, I'm sitting over here wanting to tell a former boss from a couple jobs ago to shove it, because all she wanted to do was stick the same sorts of personality types next to each other in the same places and tell me why they all work together. And I'm thinking, this is exactly the opposite of diversity. You are not correct. Because Tanqueray, you would have been a massive asset in most financial services organizations that I was
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Happy to lend my services. Um, what I have learned about transitioning between commercial real estate, energy, and construction, um, healthcare, is that a lot of the learnings are transferable when it comes to building a culture of innovation
in.
and wanting to grow and stretch your organization. What works in some areas will work in other areas. It just takes that partnership and coming up with the best solution in that moment with the resources that you have for that problem. And you have to be willing to fall in love with the problem. Like,
Mhm.
and I used the analogy earlier, like we were in the wilderness. Like I'm in the wilderness now and I kind of like it because I can
Yeah.
find my way to different spaces in the wilderness. It's not all doom and gloom, and that's the one thing I hope we convey to our listeners today is like entrepreneurship is hard.
Yeah.
I am in the wilderness, you will be in the wilderness. Sometimes I do walk out of the wilderness to civilization and I choose to walk back in because that's
Literally,
how I'm
I'm with
built.
you.
That's how I'm built. I'll figure it out. I will make it. I will make it. We will make it.
You are built that way. Um, I think I think so many people, if they would not give in to fear, are built
Mm,
that way. But we don't
yeah,
allow ourselves to fail. And we don't see that we are resilient AF and we will figure it out. And the worst that could possibly happen, we will still figure it out, because the only way we build resilience is to fail and get up and see, well, I got through that. I'm going to be able to get through the next thing, right?
right.
We don't, a lot of women, especially, we don't allow ourselves to fail. And
Yep.
I don't understand. It's this unspoken desire for perfectionism. And I was just reading something this morning that perfectionism is really just fear wrapped in a fancy word. And it really is. We're afraid to fail. So we'll just make it perfect until the deadline has passed and we never pushed it out, or blah blah blah. I could go on forever. That could be an episode. Iterating and building a business in broad daylight is probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But like you, when I go to coffee with people still very much in the corporate grind, all they ever talk to me about is how they want out. They hate it. They want out. How can you get me out? I want an exit strategy. How are you doing this? How much did this cost? What do I need to do? That's real.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It is. It's very real. It's very real. Another thing that I was thinking about as we're kind of wrapping on this entrepreneurial journey. Are you thinking about hiring? So I know you've got the coaches and things of that sort, but when do you think about so beyond the getting started, how do I get out? How do I get started? All those things. What if someone comes to you and says, I want to scale? Like what does that look like? Are you thinking about that for your business in year 1 or year 2, or how do you plan for that in year 3 or year 4? What does that look like for you? Is that partnership affiliations? Like
Yeah, so
what?
I have a couple already. I have a couple strategic partners that naturally I outsource some things to when I'm too busy. So a couple contracted people that already work along with Lighthouse Leadership Consultants. But we have our own intern, Sev. Hey, what's up, Sev? He's on the men's volleyball team. Sev Alton, give him a follow at Queen's University, by the way. He is our new intern. Sev is starting January 3rd. Really excited about that. I've had several people approach me to work within the brand multiple times throughout the year. I am going to have to hire somebody. That is the long answer. My husband has now told me if you do not hire somebody, it's going to be a problem because you cannot possibly do all this yourself. There's 5 different product lines. Like, what are we doing? So I am going to have to hire somebody. And frankly, I'm just going to wait until Sev and I work out how things are going for him
Mhm.
and where he tells me, because I think, he's a senior at Queen's University. He's going to really help quite a bit with our anchor athlete and unicorn student initiatives. But what I'm interested in is he's in such a generation and a demographic that the world is not ready for from a corporate standpoint. And I
Mhm.
want him to be able to really inform how we move forward in 2025 to make sure that the pulse of what we're teaching in corporate engagements and at board retreats and all the different ways we're engaged from a corporate standpoint is on pulse. That's my job, right? That's my fiduciary
Yeah.
responsibility. And I think no better way to do it than with somebody who literally is graduating in 6 months and what they want. And so I'm going to wait until those learnings come out from him. And based on that, we will make a decision mid-year next year. But I'm anticipating, yes, having to make a hire.
Yeah, that's perfect. So for me, I'm not there yet, but I am going to be hosting some workshops for the entrepreneur that's in it by themselves to pull our heads together, think about strategic ways to move in the next year,
Mhm.
and helping them with putting together the plans and the structures, et cetera, but with a innovative spin, right? So if you're in a space where you are helping others innovate, how do you then in turn innovate for yourself?
Mhm.
So I'll have some workshops coming out the first of the year on that end of the year, first of the year. And then just ensuring that I'm staying motivated as I'm being challenged, right? Those are probably the two things that I would say. Not hiring yet, but we'll be helping with the workshops for businesses that are in the same seat as myself to help them innovatively be strategic. And then also looking for ways to keep myself motivated and in line with those peer groups who can keep me motivated and, just moving in the right direction.
I love it. And that's exactly, timing is what it should be, right? You know, that's the thing I always go back to with people, probably you do the same when we're coaching. Um, it is what it is supposed to be. Like, we need to do our part. Yes, we got to follow up on our leads. We got to be visible. We got to do our marketing. But things work out and the timing is exactly what it's supposed to be, as it is supposed to be. And that's the most important thing that I try to remind everybody is, had I held myself to the same standard as, you know, the income that you were bringing in with your first big project. I had to deal with feelings of envy. I told you one day, I'm like, I'm jealous as hell, girl. How the hell are you doing all this? What am I going to do? I'm going to have to take
What
this
did I
withdrawal.
say? I was like, don't be jealous because that Teams ping is giving me like, it's triggering. It's still triggering. Like, oh, it's pinging me. Oh,
But that's the beauty. But okay, I want our listeners to understand. I had a feeling of envy and jealousy toward my friend. So, what did I do? I recognized my feeling of envy and jealousy. I did not ignore it. I did not pretend it didn't exist. And then I said, Self, you're feeling jealous and you're feeling envious. And you're proud of your friend and you're jealous and envious. Oh man, what do I do? Let me come talk to my friend and say, girl, I am jealous and envious and happy for you all at the same time. If people could just do that, did
do
we not
that.
have the most
Yeah.
beautiful discussion?
It was a great conversation. And I think it, it, it always brings us closer when we can just be honest about what's going on. Right.
Yes,
And we always have these authentic conversations that then can help someone else.
yes.
Because I was like, yeah, hey, I get it. And you don't have to listen to that damn Teams pinging you like shit. What time is it? Why are you what you want? I already answered
Oh,
that. You didn't see the email. Yeah.
mm,
So yeah, it goes both ways. I am grateful. I've learned a lot. I've contributed a lot. And it is it can go both ways, right? So there's not one way to come into your entrepreneur journey. It's
mhm.
an evolution. It's going to change day by day, and you absolutely have to take what you need.
Absolutely. I just think this has been such a great episode today for people who want to know, what really is it like? Like, we haven't been filtered. We had zero agenda for this conversation today. It
Mhm.
flows because it's the realest of the real, which is, I think, how you and I always strive to be, right? We
Yeah,
try to be as authentic as we can. And I think, going through this together, I'm just grateful to have had a partner to kind of ride the waves with this year. I think, it can be really isolating, and I know that there are times the two of us have each pulled back from each other this year just because we were going through our own shit, or we were struggling with our own feelings, or we were too busy, or whatever the case was, right? We had to pull back to kind of get our own mental back together and kind of re-engage. All of those things are natural, but we had the ability to come back in. And so we had a community in each other. And I think even this podcast community for us, at least for me, has been really helpful. So thank you to everybody who's listening, and the comments, and people who send emails to us and have feedback. And we're just so grateful because this is an extension, really, of our corporate America, right? We don't have that feedback loop anymore like we used
yeah,
to when we were, I
yeah.
call it the system. I know it's not like prison or anything, but I call it the system. When we were in the system, we don't have the feedback loop. And so, from all of y'all, thank you for giving us some feedback that does feel validating on our journeys.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would echo that, and I would also say that, Kristi is available for coaching, both individual and organizations for speaking engagements. She has different products that are all aligned with Unicorn Leadership, the Legacy Lab, and more to come. I am available to help you get your stuff together and get your projects implemented. That could be project leadership, change leadership. I'm also hosting workshops on creating the innovation labs and reimagining your innovation culture and what that looks like. So we're here to help you either in corporate or as individuals. And this, is been another great episode of Kristi and Tanqueray on the Rocks. We appreciate your listenership. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and leave us comments, share with your network. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.